Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Andes. It's good to see you again. This week what we're going to be doing is we are going to start a crayon resist art project. You guys will remember before we left school, you guys were working beautifully on your underwater landscapes and using the crayon resist or the watercolor resist technique. And what that technique was included building up wax from the crayon and then watercolor paint resisting and seeing what happened when we did that. So if you have crayons and watercolor paints, you're going to be able to do the watercolor resist part of the project. If you don't, you're still going to get to follow along and do the drawing project, and then you can color it however you choose with markers or crayons or colored pencils. So we're going to start working on the drawing, and I'm going to get started. I've got sort of an example up here. It's not finished, but it's started. So we're going to go through and we're going to look at some of those shapes. All you need right now is a piece of paper and a pencil. And for my piece of paper, I'm going to draw a piece of paper. The first thing we're going to do with our turtle paper is to make our turtle drawing is we're going to draw the shell. And we're going to take a look at this shape that the shell is. We're going to think about what shape does that look like. Looks like an oval. And it fills up most of the page. So we're going to take that size, whatever size piece of paper you have, you're going to make an oval that fills up a lot of that piece of paper. That's going to be the beginning of our shell. And if you notice carefully, you can see that there's a little border, another oval right inside of it. So we're going to make another oval inside. You guys should be doing this with pencil, because if you're going to be using crayon later, I want you to make sure that it isn't in marker. So I'm drawing with marker so you guys can see me on the video, but I want you guys to be doing it with pencil, please. Especially also you can, if you make a mistake, you can go back and erase it. So we've got our oval, and we're going to make the first parts of the shell, because a turtle shell isn't just flat. A turtle shell has textures. Texture is the way that something feels, and it feels sort of bumpy and it has different shapes in it. So we're going to make our turtle shape. You could make some ovals in your turtle shell. If you wanted, you could use other shapes like hexagons. I think I might use some octagons in mine. You're going to make a pattern, a couple shells connected, or a couple shapes connected inside your shell to give your turtle shell some texture. And then from that pattern in the middle, if you just take that pattern and draw some lines to the inside edge of your shell, that's going to give your turtle shell a lot of texture. Again, you guys are doing that with your pencil first. After that, we're going to go around the shell, not too many lines. You want to give a little bit of space, but we're going to go around the shell and just make some short little lines to add a little more texture to our turtle shell. Our turtle shell is going to have texture, and then when we use our crayons and our watercolor paints, it's going to have a really neat effect. And if we just color it, it's still going to be beautiful. I'm going to go kind of fast. I don't want to make a million of them. I want to space them out a little bit so your eye can travel and look at them and they're not too close together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our turtle's head and our and their flippers and their tail. So up at the top, we're going to make a shape sort of like an oval for our turtle's head. And if you wanted, you could make the eyes up at the top of the head, sort of where the nose is going to be. And then we're going to make the flippers. Now the front flippers, if you look, they're pretty big. And they're sort of like a triangle shape. They come out, or a wing shape even. And they hook back in. And they go out, and you might find that your turtle's flippers go beyond the page. That's okay. It's going to make it look maybe even a little more realistic to know that this is just a view on the paper and not the whole turtle. So you can see where mine cut off here too. And then the back flippers, which were a little more of a rectangular shape. And a tail. And then we're going to add some texture for the turtle's skin. And that texture, we're going to make a series of of circles nice and close together. And we're going to fill that all the way in. So you're going to fill in the flippers and the tail all the way in with those circles. And then if you want, you can also make some lines gently with your pencil to show the movement of the water. Now, after you finish this in pencil, if you have crayons and watercolor paints, you remember you're going to go back and you're going to trace over all of these lines. If we look carefully on this one, you're going to go back on top of your turtle picture and you're going to trace, pressing really hard. The really important thing with Crayon Resist is that you are going to press really hard so you build up a nice layer of wax. So you're going to go back and you're going to trace, pressing hard over everything that you drew in your turtle. All the texture on the turtle's shell, all the texture on the turtle's wing or flippers, and the lines in the water. You're going to trace the color you want. If you're not using crayons, if you're using markers, you can go ahead and you can trace it maybe with a black marker so you can see your lines a little bit better, and then you can go about coloring it however you choose. Or if you have colored pencils, if you don't have watercolor paints, you can also trace over, maybe trace really hard and then color really lightly just so that you can color in your picture. If you have watercolor paints, after you trace your turtle and all of those details, pressing really hard, what you're going to do is you're going to use your watercolor paints to paint inside the turtle shell, inside the flippers. You're going to paint the water in the ocean around your turtle using watercolor paints and lots of water. And when you paint over the crayon that you've drawn, that you've pressed really hard on, you will find that the crayon resists the paint or pushes away the paint. So you will see the watercolor paint that you painted, but also the crayons will sort of push that paint away, and you'll still get to see all of those crayon marks nice and neatly. So this is what I'd love to see you guys do this week. Either if you have paints, if you don't, please give it a try and then try to take a picture and send it to me, email it to me at school. I would love to take a look at them. Also, if you have any questions, let me know. You guys, that's terrific. I'm excited to see your work. I really miss you guys. I hope you're all doing great at home and your families are good, and hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.